Welcome to the Indie Author Roadmap, the podcast for new and aspiring indie authors.
We're your hosts, Rachel and Rob, here to help guide you on your writing journey.
Join us each episode as we share tips, insights and practical advice to help you take the next steps towards becoming a successful indie author.
Whether you're working on your first book, navigating self-publishing, or looking to connect with fellow indie authors, this is the place for you.
So grab your notebook, settle in, and let's hit the road to your publishing dreams.
Because right in the end, it's just the beginning.
Welcome to the Indie Author Roadmap. It is
Wednesday, the 11th of June.
it is
Wednesday, the 11th of June.
because Rob's going to edit this, and I'm going to keep saying
The 11th of June.
it's annoying. And this is episode 28 on the
11th of June. What day is it, Rachel? 11th of June.
And I am the amazing, awesome, brilliant Rachel, and you are.
And I'm just Rob on Wednesday, the 11th of June.
9th of June.
So yeah, it's been it's as always great to be here. How's your week been?
It's been good. It's been good. I wrote 3,000 words a day. It averaged at 3,000 words a day, so I hit my word goal. I actually had one day where I wrote 12,000 words.
12,000 words. That's well good.
Yeah.
Lots of different books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 21,000 words across 3 different projects.
So so 7,000 words. So none of them have moved really.
No.
You are going to get to a point where you've finished like 5 books all at once, and you're like, oh, now I've got to release them all.
Yeah,
oh, mind you, you want you want a rapid release, don't you?
Yeah, there's still a rapid release, yeah. I've also
Yeah.
opened my TikTok shop properly.
What do you mean properly?
I had TikTok shop open, and then my son was harping on at me to get it done. And I was like, yeah, I just don't have the time. So he's decided to take it on.
Right, what's he doing?
Do it for me.
What's his plan?
So he's actually made a separate TikTok account for TikTok shop.
Yeah.
And got all the pictures of the books, gone round the house and pulled off all my copies of books that I've got everywhere, because I literally have stacks and boxes of books all over the place. Put them all together, made himself a stock sheet to see what I've actually got.
So you've got an inventory and everything.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, and I haven't even done it. And yeah, so he's done that, and then I've got loads of other things as well, like merchandise and stuff. You know, like when I've done Kickstarter, well, my own version of Kickstarters, and so it's got stuff with my author brand on it. And he's like, "Well, we can put these on there as well." So
Yeah.
but I'm like, "I'm not sure if you can. I suppose you can."
Yeah. What is it like? Postcards and books?
So
bookmarks?
I've got notebooks with my name on it. I've got pens. I've got teddy bears. I've got cushions. There's all sorts. Teddy bears, yeah.
What kind of teddy bears?
It's just a
How
teddy
does
bear.
this? How does the teddy bear like merge into your brand, or is it just a fucking
It's
teddy
not.
bear?
It's just that most of my readers are women, and it's got a little T-shirt with the author brand on it, and then it sits on their shelf. And believe me, I have fans that have had that teddy bear.
Right. So
Yeah.
someone orders a book from TikTok for you, book one, say, and this massive parcel comes with fucking teddy bears and notepads and shit in it.
Yeah,
I think you can.
I've got mugs. I've got towels.
Towels.
Towels. Yeah.
What? At what point did you think, right, we need merchandise for my books? I know these readers want my
So
books,
this
but
is
everyone needs a fucking towel, so I'll chuck that in.
You will be surprised, right? I have fans that have towels, like beach towels that are my book cover.
Well, yeah, of course they do, because you keep fucking sending them to them.
No, because they've bought them. That's why I've ordered them.
How much does a towel retail for? How big is it?
Yeah. It's a proper beach towel size. It cost me a fortune. I used to have to wait for the sales to come in.
And how much do they retail for?
Oh, I don't even know, because they used to be part of a whole box. And so I
Right.
used to just buy like a bulk, and so it used to be like, it was about £600 for me to buy all of the ones that had been ordered. Yeah, but then some would get cancelled, or I'd buy extra just in case. And so they've got them there. I've got like posters. So I was like, can I put these on the TikTok shop? I suppose I could. It's not.
Yeah.
If they don't sell, I've still got. They're just there.
So
I've even got condoms.
where'd you go to make them?
You will be surprised that you can
Is
get
this
custom
is this Rachel
condoms.
Martin or is this pen name X?
No, no. So this is different. This is a book that was written years ago. It goes to the story that it was written. So to the readers of that book, it actually makes sense.
Did you say this is pen name X then?
Yeah.
Right. So on the condoms, does it say ever thought of fucking a werewolf or something? Make sure you bag up.
No, and I can't even say what it is because it'll give away what
Yeah.
it is. But yeah, it relates to the story.
A
Because
condom relates to your shifter story.
it totally does, yeah. It relates to a scene
Wow.
in the story. Yeah. And so it's like it's a private joke for the readers of that book and the lovers of that series
Yeah.
that they would totally get it. And they loved having that. And I also have some little squishy penises which were
Right.
weird.
So have you ever had an email from a fan that got these condoms? I'm just staying on this bit on the condoms and the towel. You don't need
Yeah.
both. You're either wiping
Yeah.
up your mess or you've got it. So, are
I
these
mean,
cum rags? These towels aren't beach towels. Either the cum rags, aren't they?
no, 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 they're beach towels. They're proper, like, full-size beach towels.
Right. Okay. So have you ever had an email from a reader saying, "Love the condoms, worked really well"?
The towels, no. But I have
No.
had pictures from readers with shrines of all my stuff up.
Have you ever had a picture of from a reader saying
Wearing
this
the
fits
condom.
well?
No, no.
Oh God. Fucking
Yeah,
inbox full of dick pics because you're sending everyone condoms.
yeah, maybe it's not a good idea to put the condom on the TikTok shop.
I'm not
It
sure.
was
Can you
something,
sell? Can you sell condoms on TikTok?
I don't know.
No, I don't know.
Yeah, but anyway, yes, I was like, this. I've got so much crap in my house. I was like, I can just put this all on TikTok because it's all branded.
So your
And then I've
son's
got
got
this
an
post.
inventory of like. So he's gone through everything and sticking with condoms, and he's gone right. So we've got 38 werewolf condoms. Brilliant. What?
Yeah,
He's got a list like that. Yeah.
yeah,
This
pretty
is
much.
well good. What else have you got?
God, I think that's it. I mean, you don't need anything else. There's the
No.
normal stuff. There's the normal stuff: postcards and bookmarks and pin badges and shit like that.
Right. Okay. And
Yeah.
are you planning to just put these stuffs in the with the book when you sell it, or is it going to be extra
I don't
merch?
know, because this is why we need to chat to Adam, because I was like, do you put these as like a bundle? What would you do? Because like there are mugs that have got my author brand on them, they've got book covers on them, they've got characters on them, I've got loads.
I bought Adam's latest book, which is Chaos Blades,
Yeah.
and I just wanted this, because I've never read RPG, so I thought I'll have I'll give it a go. And I got with it these, which are I'm guessing the
Yeah,
characters,
character art,
little
yeah.
postcard things, and then I got a 3D bookmark. I believe this is what this is. I'm just going to
Yeah.
pin it up on my wall, and then I got a little ninja pin, and I think
Nice.
that's going to be the mute fantasy world person. So yeah, he chucks all that in with the book. I was just expecting the book, which is good.
Yeah, I
So
I do that, chuck little bits in, but obviously like the bigger things, they just take up the space, so.
yeah, your towel,
The towel, yeah.
yeah, because you can't just slide that in, can you? Can't like right.
No.
So it's
You just
£4 say for
slip the
postage, and
condom
you're
in.
asking like for £20 postage because you're having a
Yeah.
towel whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
I've got too many in my house. You having a towel?
Yeah. Funny
Yeah.
enough, this was things people asked for, right? Because when I was making my
Who asked for condoms?
not the condoms, but when I was asking for the swag box, it's like what people wanted it. I'd put
Yeah.
up a list of all the things that were that I could possibly get, and towel was one of the most popular ones.
That's weird, that, isn't it?
Yeah, you'd be surprised. That and a cushion and a throw. You know,
So the
like a
does the tower have like the front cover, like the book
yeah, it's a
cover on
book
it?
cover. Yeah.
Yeah. See, if it's a nice book cover and they really love it,
It
then
does
yeah,
look really cool, to be fair. I
yeah.
held it up. I was like, I want one of these myself. It looks awesome.
Oh, it's a shame you can't get it on and show it because it's pen name X.
Yeah,
Fuck's
yeah,
sake. Never mind.
yeah.
Yeah.
But these are all things that will be like, when they're gone, they're gone. I'm not going to reorder them. I don't need them anymore. So it's like,
So you just decluttering, and I guess it feels like it's free, innit? It's like when you
yeah,
sell
because
these books because you've got them, it's free money. You haven't
yeah, because
ordered the
you've got
stocking.
things. I don't know if you've gone on and bought things, but usually you can only buy a certain quantity. So like, if you want postcards, you can only buy them in like bulks of 25 and 50, and it's the
Yeah, yeah,
same with most things. So, like the teddy bears, for example, there were so many wanted, but I had to buy 25 of them, so I have some left. So
yeah,
it's like whatever I've got, when they're gone, they're gone. I'm not going to reorder any. They were for something specific, but they're left over.
yeah. So get down to oh, they can't because it's your pen name X.
Yeah,
Don't
yeah,
matter.
yeah, yeah.
So
But anyway,
that's
so that he's having a fun job. But actually, it's funny what you realise you've learnt about TikTok that people don't know, because he was like, he put a TikTok thing of, he's like, I've got one view. I don't know why I only got one view. And I was like, well, what have you written in it? And he'd put one of the banned words in it that TikTok doesn't like. And I'm like, it's because you've got this word in it. And he's like, are you
what's the
serious?
ban word?
Well, I can't tell you because it's the title of the book. But
Oh,
But for example, if you'd have put dead in it, it was, one of those words, and I was like, no, no, you have to spell it weirdly so people can still read it, but TikTok algorithm doesn't
yeah,
pick up
with
on
an
it.
at to some instead of the
Yeah,
A, and yeah,
yeah.
and
So he's
everyone keeps saying unalive, don't they? It
unalive.
winds me up that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
This is so fucking stupid, but
yeah,
yeah, it is. It is what it is, isn't it? So yeah, so we're playing. Excuse me, fucking yawning. Play with the TikTok shop and see if we get some stuff.
yeah. My TikTok shop's done quite well. I think I've had it about a week, 2 weeks, and I'm sold out
Well,
now. What's
yeah,
annoying though, right? So first of all, I put Meat Market on, and I had 10 copies. I ordered 10 copies in, so I've got an inventory of 10 for that, and then it goes down when people buy it because that's
yeah,
obviously. But then I did when I got book 2 and 3 in, I just got 5 copies, inventory of 5, but then I did a bundle with all 3, and that's an extra product as well. So people have been buying the bundle, but the inventory hasn't been going down on the other ones,
it goes. Yeah,
which is annoying. I don't know how to fix that. Maybe you can't fix that because it's separate products, I guess.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, because the TikTok algorithms won't know they're actually the same thing, just packaged differently.
Yeah, so I think I need to hire your son to do me a
Yeah.
stock list as well.
Yeah.
Although it's not
You'll know this, on the postage, because it keeps saying it's free postage. Do you have to go in and change the postage?
right. From what I know, it's I don't know.
No, because he asked me and he says it's free postage. He's like, well, doesn't that mean that we're going to lose profit posting? And I'm like, possibly. And
No,
I know you
no.
can only
So
post.
it's free postage. I think it's some on their end because when you get a sale, they say like £10 for a book. They then charge the customer £13. Say if it's £3 postage, but you don't see that.
Yeah,
They just then supply you with the postage uh, sticker to chuck on your book. So, but I think they running promotions like if it's above 20 quid, it's 10% off. I think it's
yeah. I've
promotions
got
they.
one that's come up and it's he put a bundle up of $3 and he's come up with 30% off. I'm like, I'm not doing a 30% off. I haven't got a 30% off.
I don't. Yeah, I don't know. This is why we need Adam on so we
Yeah,
can
yeah,
just grill him.
yeah. I
He
mean,
will have no time to talk about his own books and his business because
no, we're
we're
just
just going to be firing questions
bombarded
at
with
him about
questions.
TikTok shop.
Yeah, but I was like, at the end of the day, these are books that were paid for in a bundle ages ago. So while I have paid for them, it doesn't feel like I've paid for them.
Yeah,
So we'll
yeah,
just go with it.
yeah. Yeah, I've got some more coming. I've got a bundle of the first 3, and now I've ordered all 5. It adds up quickly, doesn't it? Jesus
Yeah,
Christ, the price. But then it's not just the price; it's then the your bloody your packaging and stuff. And then when I'm working out how much an actual product with packaging is costing me, I'm like, oh, profit margins and all grown up stuff. It's like, ugh.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's still selling books, and I still get more than I would do on Amazon, so it's fine.
Yeah. Well, I've
Yeah.
made a deal with him that you can have 10% of all the profits, and then if we can get it going, we'll increase it and change.
Yeah. Well, that's what you can do. You can get people, TikTokers, to sell your stuff for you as well on the shop,
Well,
and they
apparently you can do that with theirs as well. Like you could go and promote an Adams book, and then you would get a percentage of that sale.
yeah, you could just pick any product, and
Yeah.
because it's already set up, so you can get because it says on it as well, get £2.25 commission for whatever product, and you get that. You must have some sort of special link, and then that'd be paid. It's mental, innit? Like, so you
Yeah.
could set up a TikTok and think, right, what are the best selling products? And because I've seen guys doing it, like teeth whitening stuff and all that stuff,
Yeah.
but then he's like a pump for the car, anything that's obviously trending. He's doing videos of and getting a little percentage. It's
Yeah.
yeah, which is quite good, really.
Yeah.
It's good for everyone. Make a little
So
bit
have
of
you
money.
been writing this week?
Hey,
Have you been writing this week?
me? Yeah,
Hmm.
I have. I've started. I need to get evaluation done. I've done about 15,000 words in 3 sittings. It's about 5,000 each one. But I've got a load of authory stuff to do at the moment. I'm still in the. It's like buses season. Everyone's turned up and
Yeah.
wants work doing. So, doing a lot of cover designs and formatting and some TikTok videos, some YouTube videos, and yeah, I've got a lot on at the moment, and writing has taken a bit of a back burner, but I've been making sure I've been doing my own TikToks first,
Yeah.
selling my books. Yeah, yes, I have done. This writer has been writing, which is
Well done.
yeah, check me out. Yeah.
Who'd have thought?
And today we're going to be talking to another writer. We've got another guest on, which
Yeah.
is, and that is Rachel.
James Felix.
Yeah.
And
So
he's
today
also
on
special
Wednesday the 11th of
and
June,
on the 9th.
we'll be talking to James Felix, and
Yeah.
then we'll meet back up after that, eh?
Yeah, yeah, he's really good. I've spoken to him about talking me through police procedure. He's really nice.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's jump to James.
But don't we have to talk for like 40 seconds and like all pretend Rob said
No,
something?
no, no. You don't have to, because this is in the middle of the podcast, so it'll go straight in.
So I don't need to introduce on then.
We'll just do anyway. It's nice, isn't it?
Because then we're going to have two introductions. Because then we're going to record an intro with just me and you and then announce James is coming on.
No, for fuck's sake, we've already done this. We're gonna do the interview. Sorry about this, Mike. We're gonna do the interview, and then I'm gonna take that segment and fucking plop it in the middle of our show.
Yeah. So the intro will be without James.
Yeah, for the show, but this is the intro for the fucking hell for the interview.
Okay, so what do you need me to say?
I think we've done it. I think I'll keep that in now. Actually,
Yeah, do it. I think you should keep it.
go on.
I don't even know what I'm saying. Okay, it's episode 28, and
No, you don't have to say that. We've already done that bit at the beginning.
okay, it's the 9th of June.
No, you don't have to do that either. We've done that at the beginning. What we need to do is go, welcome fucking James Felix.
Okay, you've done it now.
Go on.
I'm not saying it now. You've said it.
Right.
Welcome, James. Hello.
Hello. It's a lovely welcome. Thank you, amazing Rachel.
Welcome. Yes. So we're nothing if not professional on this show, as you can well see. It's great to have you. Tell us a bit about yourself, James Felix. Obviously, we know you quite well, but for the listeners, as I'm sure you will be listening on Wednesday, tell yourself about yourself.
Tell myself about myself. All right, hello everyone. I'm James. I write books. I'm a recently retired police officer, having served 30 years down in Essex. So you might tell from my culturally accent that I am from the southeast of England in the United Kingdom. And I
Yeah.
speak a version of what's called estuary English, which is what Essex people speak. So that's why I sound like this.
Are you classed as a Cockney then?
No, no, no. You're a Cockney if you're born within the sound of Bow Bells in London, and I was born out in a county which is just east of London called Essex.
All right.
And
Okay.
I lived most of my life there, and that's why I served as a police officer. I did I did 3 years in the army as from age of 19, and then at 22, I joined the Essex Police, and I've served my whole career there. Lots of different roles. This is back in the mid-90s when I joined. I did all the usual policing roles, you know, like uniform cop on the beat, going to domestics, blue lights, whatnot. Then I did firearms for 5 years. I was an authorised permit holder within Essex Police, attending firearms jobs. Then I got promoted and I did the uniform sergeant role, and then the CID. I became a DS, accredited detective. So CID roles of various roles around the county. After that, I joined serious organised crime. Did a bit of surveillance as a DS again. And that was working on some of the sort of counties or the regions, sort of nastiest criminals, really. A lot of criminality in Essex is affected by London. So although we're not stationed in London, we did a lot of work in London, following them around, seeing what they do, trying not to get caught out. I got promoted again to inspector, straight back into uniform. That was a bit of a shock to the system. So I had to go back there in uniform stores, get a larger pair of trousers, larger shirt, because everything had filled out a little bit since the
Having
90s.
to iron in the morning.
Yeah, iron stuff, get up early, and be responsible, and yeah, run a shift of like whippersnapper coppers again, like getting them into the line and sorting them all out and dealing with their problems and being their manager as an inspector. At the same time, I took on a dual role. I became a tactical firearms commander, so I would do a part-time role in the control room, overseeing stuff like firearms deployments, pursuits, all those sorts of things, all those interesting stuff, while doing my day job as an inspector. I then re-accredited as a detective, went and became DI and went back on CID. So picked up an investigations role, worked on all sorts of things, attached to MIT for murders, worked on high profile missing person cases, lots and lots of stuff like that in a detective role. At the same time as that, I was carrying on my TFC, so I was still doing the old tactical firearms stuff. So up to that point, I'd done almost everything in my career that I'd wanted to do. And then for the last couple of years of my life, I managed to get promoted to chief inspector. So I retired as a DCI, and my final billet, because the police love to do this, I like to move you around, spread the experience. I got the role of custody. So I was head of custody for Essex Police. So I was actually, having spent an entire career locking villains up, I was now in charge of looking after them. And like, making sure anything bad don't happen to them. And the theory behind that being,
So after spending a career of finding them and locking them up, you're now babysitting them.
babysitting them basically, yeah, because they'll come out of all the things that happen. You know, they running around committing crime, but as soon as they get nicked, they become very fragile, don't they? Bless them. So, but the theory behind that is we want to deliver them to court, and we want them convicted and locked up for all the harm they're doing to people. So that little window of time that they're in police custody, everything's got to be done by the book. And I was in charge of the department that ran that, and then I retired.
And you retired, and I'm sure
So yeah, here I am.
and you've got a treasure trove of stories that you started telling,
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah, I've got a lot of things have happened to me during 30 years, as you might imagine, and ever since lockdown COVID. So I mean, I worked during COVID. We weren't locked down in the police, but it gave me more spare time at home afterwards, because really want anything to do was there after work. I started writing, and although I write crime action thrillers, it's all fictional. I do like to try and weave a couple of the old real life experience into it. The names have been changed to protect the guilty, but there's some stuff in there that if people were part of it, they would probably recognise it.
Right. So you started writing. So you first started. You never written before. You started writing when you were in COVID.
Yeah, 2020 was the first book I wrote, which was Patriot, and it's been through many iterations. I had no idea how to write a book in any way, shape, or form, no concept. I mean, I've done a lot of writing. All my life I've done writing statements, writing reports, duty reports, everything. Thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of words, police-related stuff. And so I thought, well, I can write a book because that's easy, isn't it? How
Same,
wrong was
innit?
I?
It's the same.
I couldn't have been more wrong. I had no idea what to do. It was simply, I did it for like, I don't know, this sounds a bit wanky, sorry, but for the intellectual challenge. I just wanted to look
Yeah.
around on a bookshelf and see a book that I'd written, because I love reading. I mean, like for me, John le Carre is the ultimate master, all of his books, but stuff like obviously Lee Child, we'll read the Reacher book, Greg Hurwitz, Tom Clancy, I hoover that stuff up. And I have a massive interest in history, so I read a lot of Max Hastings stuff. I love Gordon Career, Ben McIntyre's, all the spy stuff, and that links into what le Carre was writing about. And that's what I'm most interested in writing. And so, although my experience is military and then policing, I also love a little bit of the old spy novel, a little bit of the intrigue, espionage and stuff. So I've tried to weave that into my stories, which is where this character, my main character Nelson, come from. But before I could deliver a book, I had to write it. And I just wrote, it was utter nonsense. It was complete and utter nonsense. And I didn't know anything about self-publishing. So I started listening to the old podcasts, James and Mark's SPS stuff, which we all know about, and then found Joanna Penn, and just started learning what self-publishing was, because I was under no illusions I was going to be like this undiscovered great writer that Penguin were going to pick up and make me a millionaire. I didn't ever expect that to happen, and now I've looked, glimpsed into the world of it. I know that's never going to happen, but I got very fascinated with the concept of self-publishing. And so, learning to write. I emailed Mark Dawson and I said, could you recommend an editor? And he recommended some guy called Edmund in America. So I got hold of Edmund, asked him, we agreed terms, and he looked at my very first manuscript. And bless him, he was very encouraging. He was a lovely man, but my writing style had become very policey. He spent all of his time fixing my comma splices. There are about 400 comma splices in that manuscript, and I didn't. I had no idea what a comma splice was. I had no clue what that was. I must have been absent from school the day that they taught comma splices
Rob
in the
doesn't know
English
what a comma
language.
splice is.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
Yeah,
Go on,
Rob,
ask
what
Rob
is a
what
comma splice?
is.
Do you know what I was about to say? Why don't you tell the listeners what a comment splice? What comment? What?
Comma splice. So it's where you. So if you two independent clauses, I think it's called, or two independent bits of a sentence are joined by a comma, and that comma is not strong enough to link it because they're not two associated. So instead of a comma, you would use maybe an and or a but and a comma, depending on what your style of writing.
Exactly.
The semicolon.
Yeah, or a semicolon. But
I could not have said it better myself.
So Edmund spent all of his time fixing that, and it wasn't a waste of money for me. It was a massive steep learning curve. And it was like, right, okay, rewrite the book with all the little suggestions, learn how to write, learn English for a start, considering it's my native tongue. I should at least know how to write it. And then I basically rewrote Patriot and rewrote it until I found another editor, which is a lovely man, very successful for his own right, called Kerry Donovan. And I was reading Kerry's books, which is the Ryan Kane series. I was ploughing through them because there's a bit of similarity to Ryan Kane and my character Nelson. And so I thought, right, Kerry's doing it. Kerry, who does your editing? And he, a lovely man, we've become friends. He's a bit of a mentor to me. But he said, I'll do your editing, for a fee, of course. And so now Kerry does my structural edits, and Kerry's own editor, Nicole O'Brien, she writes romance, but it's like filth. romance.
Smut.
She's a lovely lady from Australia. She does my copy editing, and like she does a version of I mean, Nicole, she can't help herself. It's like copy and line editing, but structural editing and developmental, which she does everything. She does it
Just all in one.
Yeah, yeah. So it goes to Kerry, goes to Nicole, and it ends up in one of them. And so now I've done it 4 times, and I've retired, and I'd written all those books before I'd retired, but because I was a Serbian police officer, I couldn't promote them, I couldn't sell them. You know, they're full of violence and police corruption and all sorts of great stuff that we love reading about, and swearing, and people dying and blood and guts and all that stuff that I love. Couldn't, as a serving police officer, promote that. But now I'm retired, all bets are off. I can write whatever I want, and they're all available on KU. And I've just started. Actually, I was chatting to you, Rob, very briefly about this. Is Amazon ads? I just started Amazon ads, so I put some money behind it as well now. So this is getting serious.
It's proper. Do you feel like a real writer yet, or do you think you're just
No,
winging it
I
still?
feel like a massive fraud, an absolute massive fraud. But the thing is, I love it. I enjoy it. If I go a day without writing or editing or doing something, I feel like I've missed a day. And I genuinely do it because I love it. I've started writing a second series, a police procedural series, which is much more akin to what I did on a day-to-day basis. Whereas Nelson, he's a former soldier hunted by the government and gets involved in scrapes. That's a flight of fancy based on real people I've met, real scenarios I've encountered, and then I've embellished it and created a story and then weaved in stuff that I've done and people that I've met and that they've been good enough to tell me about, put that in it. The police procedural stuff, which I've just started writing, which is actually just come back from Kerry. He's done his structural edit, and I'm like, I was working on it this morning. I'm scratching my head for all the changes and all this stuff like that. And I mean, Nicole hasn't even looked at it yet. So, so that is much more me. That's basically kind of what I did for a living. And then, and Rob's done the artwork.
Yeah.
Which we
Sort
love.
of, I mean, you had the you gave me the idea, and I just tidied it up really.
No, it looks bloody brilliant. Don't do yourself down. I gave you like some wanky picture from Chat GPT with my idea of what this is what I want it to kind of feel and look like. And yeah, it looks.
Yeah.
I saw it yesterday, and I was over the moon with it. It looks brilliant. I can't wait. That'll come out in the autumn. So yeah, really, really exciting. But artwork's lovely, isn't it? You get all excited. You get it back from wherever. I mean, Miblart actually have done the artwork for the 4 books behind me. Patriot, Fugitive, Renegade, and Insurgent. They're all Nelson books. And they did great. You get that, and then you get this like fizz of excitement. You're like, oh, I want that out. I want to, I want to see that. But you can't. You're months and months away. The editing process, it just takes forever.
It feels like it's real, doesn't it? Once you get the pretty pictures back.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, no, but the artwork's my favourite bit. I love it. So
I love
yeah,
getting the covers. When I get the email, it's like opening a present. And you're like, please be good, and then when it's great.
I feel exactly the same. I absolutely love it, and all the bits that go with it, which you can then make adverts out of, and all the Facebook banners, and dabble with TikTok ads and things like that. But it's what I'm discovering is what you all know, and probably people listening to this have discovered is it's a whole industry, isn't it? It's not just writing. You can't just get away with just writing every day. You actually then have to become a business person, create a website, and answer emails, and have mailing lists, and do publicity, and now advertising. I've never had a real job in my life. I turned up at a police station in uniform and did what they told me to do. And I've never had to work for myself. I've never been self-employed. I've never had to do a tax return because I've always been PAYE. And I'm discovering all of that. I'm even thinking of, do I have to become a limited company so I can, claim for my pencil or something? I don't know. I don't know how to do any of that. Every day is a discovery. So I'm babbling, honestly. I think Rachel had this, didn't we? We had an hour's chat about police procedure, and I just talked like bang. This is what you get. You open my mouth, don't stop talking. And then if you ask me what it is I said, I can't remember.
But it was really good actually, because I put in the because you were telling me that they don't say streetwise kids. I actually got my detective arguing about that with someone, and I'm like, this is so cool. I can put this in now because I know it's
brilliant.
a thing.
Yeah, there's no such thing as streetwise kids anymore. They're just children. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's a mistake we've made in policing for years. Yeah.
So you've got your Nelson books, which are your thrillers, and then you've just started a new series.
Yeah.
Will it be the series, the police procedural?
Yeah, it will. I will. I'll be writing two series side by side. So Nelson will carry on. He's 4 books in now, and I don't know. I'll just keep writing that until I don't know when it ends. 20 books from now, and then I'll keep writing the police procedural. So they'll come out alternately. So it's the main character is D.I. Frank Stone. He works for the fictional police force of Wessex, which is sort of we're gonna have it west of England, southwest. It all moves geographically around a bit. Made some fictional towns up, and I've gone fictional so I can have a bit more artistic license with it. But yeah, Frank is having a very, very bad day, worst day of his life. And the story sort of picks up from there, and it's about to get a hell of a lot worse for him. And as we follow the exploits, there's a couple of I've like enjoying myself by having a couple of little cameos from characters from the other books, just like some of the policey
Yeah.
characters have turned up. So there's like a bit of a universe going on there.
Yeah, you're creating
Just
a
they get
universe, man. It's brilliant.
creating my own Nelson universe. Yeah. So Frank will be a series. Mad, Sad, Bad will be out in the autumn. Hopefully Nelson 5 will be out at the end of the year, and then next year looks like another Nelson book and another Frank Stone book. So we'll keep the 2 series going, one police procedural, one crime thriller. I mean, I've been listening to your conversations over the podcasts about your various different author names and different series, and it sounds like a massive headache. So I think that's
Yep.
enough for me. One author name, 2 series. Let's just see how we go.
That's fine.
Just wait. Yeah, just wait till another character walks on and your brain goes, "Oh, we could have a series," and then we'll
Yeah.
talk to you in a year, and you'll be like, "Well, I've now got 6 series on the go."
I know.
Yeah, that's
The
exactly why
temptation's there, isn't it?
that's exactly why I moved back just to Rob Radcliffe, because it's just instead of just being one author, you are 2 or 3 or 4. Or didn't you meet someone in Ireland who had like 10 pen names or something, Rachel?
Yeah.
Which what?
I couldn't even do 10.
No.
So, because you said you've retired, and obviously you've gone to writing now. What's it been like to switch from a very structured working life to you're the boss of the structure?
It's weird. It's a bit scary, I would say, to say that I'm now my own boss, because I've never had to worry about that. So I've always got up every morning, sometimes at the crack of dawn, and worked very long days, but they've always been structured. Now my day is my own. However, I would say my wife keeps me extremely busy with DIY, gardening tasks. I've spent the whole weekend volunteering at the Church Street and Beer Festival, which I really felt it yesterday. That was the after effects of that. All that real ale. As an Essex lad, I like something cold and fizzy with like loads of chemicals in it, like a Heineken or a Carlsberg. I don't do well with these real ales like old pricklies and bishop's fingers and all that nonsense. It really doesn't do well with me. So I was absolutely dead yesterday. Anyway, yes, but stuff like that, getting involved in the community. I am retired, so I'll be playing a bit of golf, and I've joined the local cricket team, and doing stuff like that, and getting involved with the library. So there is stuff that I want to fill my days with, but I want to have a good shot at it, take a year and really write some books and really sort of start making a go at this self-publishing. And if after a year it doesn't really look like it's going to happen in a major way, then go back to work and do something else, utilise those police skills. There's lots of things out there for retired coppers, very employable, we're people that can think on our feet, we can fix things, we're generalists, and having said that, I might end up at the co-op stacking shelves, I don't know, but whatever that looks like, this next year will be about focusing on my writing, focusing on my golf handicap, drinking a lot of beer, and just seeing where it goes. But yeah, it's really scary, Rach. I don't have the same income coming in. I'm a pensioner, a very old man,
Yeah.
and it's a brand new, like it's a new chapter, isn't it?
Yeah. So do you have like a word goal every day or a page goal or something you hit for the week?
No, I don't. I just want to write every day, even if that's editing. So it's writing or editing. As long as I'm doing something, I log on as early as I can when the house is quiet and my head's not full of noise. And I try not to look at any social media until I've got like 1,000 words. But if I don't make 1,000, I don't beat myself up about it. I write my writing style or the styles of the books and the Frank Stone book that's coming out. I write short page turning chapters. So each chapter can be 800 words, might only be 1,200 words. And I like reading that, where it's like, oh, one more chapter before
I
bedtime.
like
That kind of,
yeah.
you look at, you turn over the page, you see, how long is this chapter? And if it's like 12
I
more
just
pages, you're
Oh
like,
yeah,
oh,
I'll put it down. Yeah.
yeah. But if it's like,
yeah.
oh, the end of the chapter's there, I'm going to keep reading. I like reading that, so that's what I write. And so typically I peg my chapters average 1,000 words. So if I can write 1,000 words, I've done a chapter,
It's a
which
little
means
bit
a lot of
different
chapters.
when you. It's a little bit different when you're formatting those sort of books because you're like, how many chapters? When's it going to end?
I know, yeah, it's like 95 chapters
Yeah, yeah,
to
yeah,
bring you
yeah,
up to a 90,000 word novel. Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? And Robin would
yeah.
know because he'd be formatting all my books,
But
which is
Yeah.
it's
another
great that
little.
you've it's great that you've started like a writing routine already because being retired and part of that retirement involves getting hammered, then you could quite easily go by the wayside. But it is good that you started
Yeah,
getting that routine. I mean, got quite a lot of seasoned writers. It's that routine that's everything. After once you've got those words down, everything else seems easier, like all the marketing and stuff like that. But it's always important to get those words down. Talking from the worst procrastinator in the world, once you've got those words down, everything else seems a lot easier. You're not beating yourself up. So it's great you've kind of jumped in and you've sort of got that bit nailed.
yeah, and I think so. And I mean, this is not my own thing. I've heard lots of people talk about this. James Blatch has talked about it. He writes in the morning and in the afternoon is for business, in it for pub, the other stuff, all the other stuff that you have to do around actually publishing a book, the writing is just quite a small bit of it. Everything else that balloons out of it is for the afternoon. So yeah, once I've mowed the lawn and taken the dog for a walk and put up a shelf and done over whatever DIY task has been set for me, it's like get back on the computer and make a TikTok video or do something on Facebook or do something book related. So I kind of had two sessions of that a day. But yeah, yes, but I mean, I'm not that good. Sometimes 3 days go by and I've done like nothing, like because there was a beer festival and nothing happened.
But what inspired you to start writing in the first place?
Um, I mean, I read a lot. I love reading. Massive fan of John le Carre. Can't underline that enough. He is the king of spy books, and it's he. And if you want to know, I mean, like James Bond is fantasy. It's brilliant. What Fleming wrote, very, very entertaining stuff. I love watching it on telly, especially at Christmas. But if you want to know how it actually happened, then read John le Carre, read Smiley's People, read Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. That's what really happened. And so I was just fascinated by that world. And I knew I had a wealth of stories that were police related. And during the course of police work, you meet other people, you meet the security services, you meet the military, you meet the NCA, other police, you meet all sorts of people and you get involved in lots of stuff, especially in the world of serious organised crime, covert surveillance, all the tactics that we employ around that. It's just like, wow, this is very interesting, and some really, really Gucci kit and some very, very talented people, more talented than, when you're talking about surveillance and that, there are people out there, coppers, who have been undercover, they're surveillance, and they're amazing at what they do. I
Yeah,
would only ever describe myself as competent in that world, but then I was there as a DS, I was a supervisor. My job was to manage the team, and although I deployed and did all the work that everybody else did, on my team were some truly, truly talented individuals that you have to stand back, admire, and think, oh, I'd like to be that good. So yeah, you see all this stuff, and I thought, oh, I'd love to transfer that into a book. And I just wanted to write a book, just wanted to write one, and it just spirals from there. But Nelson came from. You might have to edit some of this, Rob. I don't know.
Definitely
Nelson
won't.
came from no, all right, okay. From conversations with colleagues, with a couple of with good mates over the years, about miscarriages of justice, and if we weren't coppers, how would we sort that out? How would we deal with it? How would you deal with a really nasty person with no comeback on yourself? And that starts the
Yeah.
old cog spinning. And as much as I've never done that, I've always been very much by the book down the line. I always was my whole career. Nelson is not. Nelson is my alter ego, what I would love to be able to do, but can't. And he has the skills and the ability, and I married that with another concept that I became very, very interested in. I was reading a lot of Ben McIntyre, a lot of Gordon Correa, and there was all the way through the 60s, 70s, and 80s, there was a Russian Soviet um, program called the Illegals program, where they would train up their own citizens and send them to Western countries, and they would be part of society, and they would like burrow in, and they would get leads, and they would pass information back. And there was a really brilliant TV series called The Americans that was basically that story.
Oh yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
the CIA blew the lid off of it. It was an operation called Operation Ghost Stories. They discovered it. They found a load of them, and they sent them back. And I loved the idea of the story. I loved the concept of it. I thought it was amazing. But I always wondered, these people have lived in like the UK and Canada and the USA for decades. What happened to their kids? These kids would have been born and brought up and gone to school in the UK and may never have ever have known what happened to what their parents did. And that's what
Yeah.
Nelson is. He's the product of this Russian family who burrowed their way into British society. He joined the British Army, became loyal. He's loyal to the UK, but his whole life, his loyalty has been questioned because of his background. People don't trust him. Where his loyalty is really. And I thought, oh, there's a character I can build around that, and I'll add that to the conversations I was having with my colleagues about what would we do with really nasty people. So Nelson is not, he's loyal. He knows he's loyal, but people don't trust him. But he also has this concept of revenge and the idea of not the greater good, but the means justify the ends. It's a bit ugly along the way, but the end result actually is justified. And that the moral argument around that. And I thought, I just thought exploring that, and then just add a load of gritty, explosive, page-turning action on the top of it, and see if we can't write a book out of it. And then 4 books later, I think I'm still honing it. I'm still getting there. I really like my books, but I think there's a lot more story to be had, and to see where we take Nelson. And what's spilled out of it are a load of characters that I really love, especially the policing characters, and that has started to become the police procedural stuff. So, yeah, the idea's there, Rachel. You're talking about your 15 books. Yeah, my Word document file has got folders, and I know you all love folders, of other books I could write, which I refuse to, because if I do that, my head will go. So
Yeah.
it's just these, just sticking with it for now. See if I can't make a little success out of it.
So you've got 5. Is it 5 Nelson books? Well, 1 on the way.
It's
You've got
it's
4
4.
out. You've got
One police procedural on the way, and Nelson 5 at the end of the year. I haven't started writing Nelson 5 yet. I've plotted it out. I know what it's going to be.
Yeah.
He's going to go on the run in Europe. And I'm toying with the idea of, do I drag the Ukraine conflict into it, or do you just have it as a background thing? Probably a background thing, because you don't want to upset anyone, do we? But yeah, there's lots happening in Europe at the moment, and I think it would be quite interesting to drop Nelson in the middle of all that while he's been hunted. And the title of the Nelson 5 is Hunted. The hunter becomes the hunted.
Will it actually be Ukraine? Because the moment you do that, you've dated the book.
You get it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think probably not. I think Nelson will
Fictional
probably meet
something.
he'll probably meet a Ukrainian, but I think actually it'll be much more that sort of generic Eastern European
Yeah,
baddies,
yeah, yeah.
and kind of worldwide people trafficking, weapon smuggling, that murky world, which is perfect for Nelson because he loves all that shit, and he'll really go and like mess it up for him.
Did you ever consider trad publishing, or have you always been, I'm going to go self-publishing?
I mean, I have queried a couple of different houses and didn't even get a reply. No one writes back today. But the
No.
more I listen to, no, I don't even acknowledge your email, let alone say no thanks. But that's fine. I know that there's a million people trying to do this, and there's no reason why I should be the one that they pick up. But the more I look into it, the more interested I am in self-publishing. I think having control of my own story arcs, my own characters, my own artwork, what I do online, there's a certain amount of freedom in that. And I've given myself this space to try and, when I say make a success of it, just make it pay for itself. In my
Yeah.
view, a success for the next year is this project, it pays for itself. So it's not at least out of profit. And I think that's a reasonable target. And yeah, if along the way Penguin Random House want to like send me an email and say we must have your Nelson series, here's $1 million. Well, I'm not going to say no, but I also know that's never ever ever going to happen. So you know,
Well, yeah, I mean, you set yourself up for success. You know, you're writing in genres that have hungry readers. You know, and you're writing in series. You know, all these things. It's paint by numbers, and I don't see why you shouldn't. You know, start building your readership and do well, get some fans. You know.
that would be lovely. I would love to have that, and I can't wait till people email me and say I read your book, loved it. Can I ask you about this chapter, or can I ask you about that character? I really, really, that's the bit that I would love to get involved. The dialogue, the conversation with people.
Yeah.
I mean, my editor Nicole. I would say that she probably knows my books better than me because
Yeah.
when I get her edits back, she's like, no, no, Nelson wouldn't say that because in book 2 he did this. And I'm like, did he? Blimey, I wrote that 5 years ago. I mean, how did she? So
Yeah.
she's amazing. You've got this whole Bible that she's created around the thing, and she about talks about tone and what people would say, what they would do, and they're all critical editing choices. You can say yes or no at any point of it, but yeah, it gives you pause for thought. And a lot of the time, I say to Kerry and Nicole, you can leave the policing stuff to me. Don't worry, it's all kosher. The dialogue, the acronyms, the tactics, all of that stuff. I know it, but bless them, they're so good, they're so confident and good at what they do. They still question it, and then I read it and I go, "Yeah, you're right. Actually,
Yeah.
that acronym looks silly there. You need to explain what a ROCU is. I know a ROCU is a regional organised crime unit, but does anyone else know that? Even in policing terms, it's not a massively well-known term, I would say.
Yeah,
And
that's it.
and
I mean,
other
because
things like
you want to appeal to the wider audience, and that you don't just want coppers reading your books.
no, I don't. No, no, no. We Rachel and I had discussions around plausibility, and that's what you're striving for. You don't have to be a copper or an ex-copper to write about policing. What you need is plausibility. But if you can sprinkle in a bit of that expertise, that background knowledge, a few bits and pieces. I mean, for instance. So the forensic people, the people who attend crime scenes and do bags and swags and stuff, they're called CSIs now. They're crime scene investigators. It's a very American term, but it's been incorporated in UK policing. But police officers will still call them SOCOs because for
Yeah.
years that individual was a scenes of crime officer. They were a police officer who just worked on the scenes of crime department. So they were known as SOCOs, and scenes of crime was known as SOC. But serious organised crime is also known as SOC. And so you've got SOCOs and SOC and serious organised crime and now CSIs. And so the correct terminology, if anyone cares, is CSI. It's crime scene investigator. But there's absolutely nothing wrong in dialogue having two coppers having a chat and talking SOCO. That's correct because that's real. That's what actually happens. We
Yeah.
fall back on what we knew. SOCOs used to be police officers. Crime scene investigators are often members of police staff or retired police officers who've moved into police staff. It's a civilianised role, and probably a more expert role as a result of it. But that's why the name changed. They're investigators, not officers. But having, I suppose, maybe the experience on my behalf or the confidence on Rachel's behalf to just say, yeah, I'm going to have these two cops talk to each other and they're going to call them SOCOs, even though we know they're a CSI. And you'll get an email from someone going, oh, no, they're a crime scene investigator nowadays, Rachel. No, cops would call them SOCOs, and they would call them SOC, and they would call serious organised crime SOC. And you get all of that going on. And I think,
See, I have
there
relief
are a lot
now
of people.
because I have relief now because I've just re-edited my first DCI book, and he's going, we need to get Socko here, because that was the name I'd investigated. I didn't put CSI at all because I was
Yeah,
like,
it's
I'm sure
spot
that's
on.
just
It's spot
American.
on. That's
Yeah,
exactly what happened. We need to get Socko here, but what would turn up is a CSI. So
yeah.
in dialogue, it's absolutely perfect. And I see a lot of things in books, especially on TV, that they get so wrong, and it's laughable, and it's difficult sometimes to actually enjoy it because it kind of wrenches you out of it. And there are retired cops out there. I mean, I can name check Graham Bartlett for one. People who offer services to authors, advice on police procedural and what would be said and what would be done. And I think that's something that I could definitely get involved in as like a sideline or carry on my writing, but offer, little service, as a consultancy role. And, there's lots of things like, I think the biggie is what MIT do. So the major investigation team, they own murders. If there's a murder in the United Kingdom, the major investigation team are investigating it. And it's like a big circus of trained detectives, DSs, DIs, DCs, they just descend on the local police station where the murders happened, and they just work it, and they absorb the local CID into their ranks. But it's all run by a detective superintendent who sets actions for the day, and they all go off doing those investigations. Murders are not investigated by Luther. Like the DI on a mission who stands on top of a police station looking like over the city with his coat flapping, you know, and then he grabs the offender and they have a tussle and then he interviews him. That doesn't happen in real life. But I mean, I love Luther. It's brilliant television. I think he's an amazing character. If it's on, I watch it. But that's not what happens. It's much more prosaic than that. It's much more dull. Police procedures can be quite boring. And who wants to read about that? So sprinkling a bit of Luther magic in it is good. But I think what you need to know is what really happens and then make I suppose, an actual informed artistic decision about, right, well, I know that's what happens, but I'm ignoring that because it's no fun. Luther is going to do this interview. And I made that decision in Mad, Sad, Bad. My character is D.I. Frank Stone, the guy that's having a really bad day. DIs would rarely do interviews, rarely, rarely, rarely. But I have him doing an interview because it serves the narrative and because I enjoyed doing it. And I've done lots of interviews myself and I know what it feels like in that claustrophobic interview room with the soundproofing on the walls and the tape machine that don't work and the labels that are missing and people knocking on the door and interrupting you and going no comment and the terrible coffee out the polystyrene cup and the annoying solicitor in the corner is like, I've advised my client, all that. It's my interview. I don't care, mate. Sit there and shut up and write your notes. So it's, that's the reality of police interviews. It can be quite confrontational. MITO murders, superintendents and DCIs never go in interview. In fact, they never leave the police station. As a former DCI myself, I can assure you I spent my entire working career pretty much on the Teams calls, almost always, because you're running a massive department with a huge budget and loads of people and loads of people's problems and partner agencies, and you go out of the office to go and spend like 6 hours at a crime scene and you'll come back to 1,000 emails. So, I'll qualify what I said there. Of course, a DCI would go to a crime scene. So if you have a murder, they would probably visit it a couple of days after, have a little look around, do some press from the scene, do all that kind of checking on the troops, doing the welfare. But the actual groundwork, the grunt work's done by the DCs and sometimes the DSs.
I think that's the difference
If
between that's the difference between like real life and make up. Your stories. Your main character, you never have him as just an office manager, which essentially is what you've got there, and that's where that's where you have to change things to make things exciting for the reader, don't you? Yeah.
absolutely,
Yeah, no one wants to
absolutely.
read a DCI that turns up at the office and sits there all day and then goes home.
Yeah, exactly. But that's what they do.
Yeah.
Luther
I mean, other
just
stuff
checking
like
emails all episode. Yeah, it wouldn't be as
I
good, would
don't
it?
think I
yeah,
ever saw Luther check a single email in the series.
No.
it's the other well-known series again that I've watched and loved. But the idea of a pathologist who goes out and does investigations, they would never leave the laboratory or the morgue or the hospital, wherever they're working. They don't step outside that. They don't attend the scene and then find something that the cop missed and then
Yeah.
and then chase them down. It doesn't happen. Never happens. It never
It's,
What
happens. I
about
mean,
it's
we
really
what
funny,
about?
isn't it?
Oh, we're doing it. Go on.
We're
I
doing
was
it. Yeah, I
going.
was going to
Well,
say, shut up. I was saying it's really funny how people think actual jobs are, because like I spent 10 years as a fraud officer, and that was all done on computers.
of course, because that's how work's done, isn't it?
Yeah,
That's how the
never
modern
went.
world
And you know,
works.
people are like, "Oh, you go do this, go do that." I'm like, nah. I sit on a computer and analyze data.
I
And
was going
that's
to say,
pretty
what
much what
about
police.
Gene Hunt?
Well,
What
yeah, but he
about
was from the
Gene Hunt from
70s.
Life?
Yeah,
Yeah,
see,
I mean, would
that's yeah.
70s would it have been like that? Do you think?
Yeah, no emails, no computers. There wouldn't be in a single computer in the police station. All the intel would have been on what they call collator's cards, so little cardboard cards that you hand wrote detail on. And you were only there's no mobile phones, so you're only contactable. So when I'll tell you a story. So I joined the police in the mid '90s, '95. I joined, so that'll age me for some people. And as a probationer, you would sometimes be seconded to be the driver, the CID driver. So CID, it'd be a DC or maybe a DS, probably a DC. And if a burglary or a robbery or a GBH or something serious but not a murder came in, you would drive them to the scene and you would hold the bag and you'd probably do the writing and hold the clipboard. Basically, you were just a dog's body. But in the mid 90s, that often involved going and finding the DC or the DS in the pub first, telling them there's been a burglary, then finishing their pint, piling in, you drive them to the scene, do what you need to do, and then that's how it would go. I mean, I promise you, it's not like that now, but that's what it's like. And those DCs and DSs in the mid 90s that I encountered, they all joined in the 60s and 70s. They all
Yeah.
knew Gene Hunt. People like him. They were brought up like that. That's how policing was done. And so, yeah, Life on Mars is correct, complete with the brown flares and the fat tires and all of that stuff. Yeah. But can you imagine a world with no mobile phones, no email, no nothing apart from just sit down a pub and wait for the probationer to turn up with a motor? That's
Oh, it
basically how
sounds
it works.
great.
And I remember being a probationer, and I went to a burglary as the driver with a real old school DC, who I won't say their name. And we went in the house, and it was an old lady, lovely old lady. And picture the house, it's like doilies on the back of the sofa. It's like prim
Yeah.
and proper, and it's lovely. And everything's neat and beautiful. And I think he said his name in. The DC sat down and he's rolling a cigarette, and it's clearly a no smoking house, but she doesn't say anything. He's rolling a cigarette, and he looks up at her and he goes, they nicked the kettle, did they? And she's like,
Yeah.
oh, officers, let me get you a cup of tea. So she goes running, like, this poor lady's been burgled. And it's this like hideous detective. But that's the mid 90s, but that's a hangover from Life on Mars. Hey, did I nick the kettle?
Yeah.
And anyone listening who used to work with me will know exactly who that is.
Yeah. Brilliant. Well, this has been amazing. Thank you very much for coming on, our second guest, and good luck. Good luck with your books. You seem to
Thank
be
you very much.
proper pumped for the next books.
I can't wait to get them out. I'm really excited. Can I just offer? I ran it past you briefly, Rob. If there's anyone listening who wants like a free half hour, reach out to me on Facebook. If you want to talk about police procedure, you're writing something policey. I only know UK. I don't know what happens in the US and in Europe, but if it's UK you're writing and you just want to get either talk around a specific thing that's bugging you don't really understand, or you want to talk about something in more general, reach out to me on Facebook, James Felix. I'll happily we'll meet up. We'll have a chat. Free half hour, free consultation. That's my offer. Am I allowed to do that?
Yeah.
That's
And I can
fantastic. Do
absolutely
what you
vouch
want.
for you,
This
'cause
is your interview.
yeah.
Do what you want.
I,
Yeah.
I can vouch for you. I did about an hour's chat with you, and it was even though you thought you were rambling, it was like so much that I was when
I'm
I went
happy.
back to edit
That's
it, I
good.
was like, I know what this is now.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Well, I do want to make it a commercial thing, but right now I'm offering it. It'll be for free because it'll give me a chance to hone and give me a chance to understand what it is that people need to understand. And I think that'll help me in my own writing, in all honesty.
Yeah.
I think it's not just a one-way thing. I'll learn from this as well. So yeah, anyone that wants to reach out, send me a message on Facebook.
Fantastic.
And you're in the group. You're in that group, aren't you? So they can find you in there.
Yeah, I'm on the group.
Okay, this has been brilliant, mate, and good luck with
Thank
the
you.
next books.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. Thanks for having me on.
Cheers. And we're back. Thank you very much, James Felix. He's a legend, and he's such a nice guy, isn't he? We both know him personally.
Yeah, he's good, and I think it's really cool that he's offered to consultancy. So he's in our group if you want to get hold of him.
Yeah, so if there's anyone writing police procedurals or just need niggling bits about UK criminal justice system and the likes, then get hold of James. He's, like he said, he's retired. All he's doing now is drinking beer. So he's got time.
It'd be good for his sobriety to.
He sent me a picture actually because he's a lager drinker.
Right.
And he this weekend, the weekend just passed. He's just moved into a new area. Obviously, his retirement area or something. So to get involved with the community in that, he got involved with the beer festival they had on. So he was tapping and venting the ales and all the rest of it. But he doesn't drink ale. And I said, he's a lager drinker, and I said it's going to fuck you up massive because it's just there's no fizz to it, so there's no bite. So you just drink this ale, and before you know it, you're like, oh, I can't see. But James Felix is amazing, and if you need him for anything, I'm sure he'll be only happy to respond, to chat to you.
Yeah.
Great chat guy. And what are your plans for the rest of the week? Seems we're halfway through it now because it's Wednesday the 11th.
Monday. My plans are just to write.
Just to write.
Just to write. I've got so much going on that I'm like, until everything settles down, I'm like, just write.
Just write. That's your answer for everything.
Yeah.
Just write.
Weirdly, when you ask the writer what they're going to do for the week, the answer is write.
Not really. If you ask me, that'd be like the bottom of the list shit.
Yeah, but you're the procrastinator.
Yeah. Let's procrastinate.
Yeah, so...
Okay. So hopefully next week we'll have Adam on so we can grill him. And next week will be Wednesday the 18th. So you can't tell me no because we don't know when we're going to be recording it yet. So
it'll probably be tomorrow on the 10th.
Wednesday the 18th will be Adam, and thank you very much once again, James, for jumping on and chatting with us.
Yeah.
Okay. It's been emotional.
It has. Don't forget to like and subscribe and come and join our group.
Yes, come join our group and tell any authory friends or just friends to come and join too.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're not bothered. We'll have anyone on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Join us. Yeah. Okay. Cheerio.